We were talking about like trends earlier, and trends are constantly going to come and go. And there's always the question in the marketing meeting, like, well, they're doing this on TikTok and this is the dance right now. Should we do that? And the question is, like, does this align with our values? Like, does this align with our company's personality? Does this align with what our audience is needing or expecting from us? And a lot of the time, the answer is no. And you have to kind of like stay on your merry way in the things that you would do. Because if you're constantly changing your ways of delivery, it makes you like a wishy-washy person and it makes you a wishy-washy brand.
Welcome to the Osumaré Learning Podcast, where genius is celebrated, joy is the catalyst, and we learn most deeply by teaching what lights us up. I'm Parchelle Osumare, executive learning producer, curriculum designer, and former high school math teacher, and lover of all things wisdom.
And I'm Portia Michele Osumare, client experience designer, business coach, joy strategist, and a lifelong learner of the sacred and the strategic. Together, we're excavating wisdom from our brightest and most brilliant friends and partners, gaining insight that transform how we learn and how we teach in today's world.
So join us as we offer insights, community wisdom, and unique perspectives on experiential learning. So welcome to the show. Hello. Welcome in. Welcome to the Osumaré Learning Podcast. So excited that this first conversation is happening. Portia, Michele, we're here.
We did it, friend. We did it. We've made it. We have, in so many ways. It's a good week. Certainly it's a good week to be started. Especially,
this is going to be news to Olivia, I'm sure, because I don't think you've seen the social media posts and whatnot. Portia and I were just honored in a love ceremony on Sunday. And so we're coming back from that and celebrating our love and our new official name, Osumare. So we're talking to Portia and Parchelle Osumare. So this is such a special episode. And like we are flying high for sure, just in excitement and full of love and love from community. So this is special. We're so happy that this is happening.
My happy cup is legit this big. I feel like this is the part where we talk about how we're doing for real. Clearly over the moon. I have been patiently waiting for the opportunity to officially partner with you in the long haul for a long time. And I'm so grateful that it got to happen. The first of many celebrations. We definitely are one of those kind of people who's like, let's make a party out of all of it. I mean, it's not like life isn't hard enough. Let's celebrate the naming. Let's celebrate the paperwork.
Every part. And we will celebrate each time.
Let's do one. Literally. So I love that we get to do that together. And I'm also, it was a real kind of a masterclass in not planning. So I think the thing that as I'm thinking through as we're coming into this week of like what I'm learning this week, I'm learning a different way of receiving. And I'm learning that receiving is an interesting complication. For me, I'm so good at showing up to do the giving, showing up to do the serving. The receiving has been an interesting thing. And this was kind of like a surprise ceremony. We allowed our community to really create for us. And it was better than I could have planned it in a million years. And it was such a note to me to be like, you know what? Like part of being in community is being a good community member. And that means not being able to control every detail. And part of receiving is understanding that oftentimes you're going to get exactly what you need, maybe even more than what you want by releasing to receive. So I'm definitely, it was loud for me. And that's definitely what I'm learning as I'm coming into this week. Anything for you, Parchelle, that you feel like you're still learning and percolating on?
The support of community that's actually here. And I'm learning in real time community and collaboration and that we're better together for sure. Because the way that community held us this weekend, like Portia said, we couldn't have asked for more. It was so full and so everything that made that moment super special. Yeah, many more to come as well. And I'm just learning to let go also. Like there's a relinquishing of control that definitely comes into play, and experiencing that and being able to learn that has really been a blessing. So I'm so grateful. So grateful. And I am also thinking about, of course, today's conversation. I would say this is like our first official one. I think we've done a few episodes before. We were just kind of getting our feet wet and getting things warmed up. But officially today, you all, we are so excited to have a really special person in the building. Her name is Olivia Thomas Denton. Or did I say that right? Wait, let me back up. Did I get that right? Denton Thomas. Denton Thomas, yes.
The other way around.
And today is
Yeah.
all about the real about
Thank
brand, and I'm so excited about this, and you guys are gonna definitely be intrigued. So let me tell you who we are talking to today. I'm so excited to introduce my friend Olivia Denton Thomas to you today. We go back to my Philly days, and while we've been keeping up on LinkedIn, something really magical happened last year. Portia and I were at Your First Million Live with Arlen Hamilton, and we're just walking through the lobby, got our badges, going to get some water, and then I hear Parchelle. And I'm like, okay, what, who? And there Olivia was, and it was one of those beautiful full circle moments, right? That reminded me of how small the world really is. So let me tell you about Olivia, this powerhouse. Olivia is known as the brand counselor. She's doing incredible work helping Black women transition from that constant hustle to finding wholeness through brand strategy. She's the founder of Intentional Development Co. And what I love most about her approach is how she helps women, especially those who've left corporate America, right, trying to drop that good girl identity and really want to step into their power as go-to experts. And what makes her work so special is her MAP methodology, MAPP. She creates these beautiful story driven brand systems that not only attract loyal clients, but help build dream partnerships. And she's helped businesses and the owners of those businesses scale their client bases, raise capital, build teams, and allow them to make more money while working less. And with her background in PR, digital journalism, she's literally helping women tell their stories in a way that just hits different. And I've personally watched her help other entrepreneurs fulfill their missions and create social change in ways that they never thought possible. She's the real deal, y'all, and I'm excited for y'all to hear from her today. So, welcome to the show, Olivia.
Thank you so much. It's always weird hearing someone read about you because you're like, who is that? Who did that? But apparently it was me. So thank you. Thank you for having me.
It was you.
It was you, friend. It was you.
Turns out. Turns out. I love it. Thank you so much for having me. Parchelle and Portia, running into you last year was the highlight of that day. I was like, oh my gosh, Philly love.
I have to say it was so cute watching you all but I was just like, in what universe? And then again, well, I have a little bit more to say about how much I love Olivia, and I'll talk a little bit more about like some of the weird serendipities that happened along the lines with that. But it was literally like watching two magnets come across this sea of beautiful Black people.
I love it. I love it. Such a good time. And I'm so glad I got you, Portia. Yay.
Go for it. Go for it.
Same. Is it my turn to do my love story for Olivia? Okay, so y'all need to understand, outside of who Olivia is for the world, I wanted to tell you a little bit about like who Olivia is for me and some of the things that I need y'all to be listening for, the mystery and the magic of this woman. One, it was like watching a light kind of pop across, again, all of these folks at Your First Million Live, and then all of a sudden this amazing man comes on the screen and kind of hosts us through the things, and I'm like, that's your partner? Like the Olivia is also in a power couple, in an entrepreneur couple, and in a what it is to be running business collectively and relationally, and what those pieces are. So we vibe on that, and it's again something that is a special energy that only certain folks really understand. Olivia and really, really, really understands that. I also love for y'all that I want you to be listening for. Olivia has been doing the behind the scene trenches work for real. I love, love, love to learn from somebody who's been learning from behind the scenes. They've been behind a couple of different folks that a couple of different industries. And so she comes to us with this conversation around brand, much more multifaceted than a lot of people I've heard talk about brand. It's a lot more grounded. And Olivia, one of the things I love so much about you is that you explain brand in a way that I get it. Every time somebody starts to talk to me about brand, I like feel like bread on a shelf, and I'm out of it. You know what I mean? I'm like, how does me and my little house here on the Zoom figure into this conversation? And Olivia really does such a good job of making it real for me. So I know she'll do such a good job of making it real for you all in this conversation. And lastly, my favorite thing I think about Olivia is from our very first conversation. We both are the kind of people who were like, the game has been flipped here. They have tried to sell us a bill of goods around entrepreneurship that I don't want to be a part of. And I know good and well that we can enjoy this more. It can be more whole, fulfilling, I guess is the word that I'm looking at. You can be more whole in it. It doesn't have to be this thing where you feel like you got to sell your soul to sell your business. And I think that it was something that was like quietly coming to me over years. And I would have conversations with people about it, and they'd be like, no girl but Boss Queen Slay. And I'm like, oh, me and Olivia got on the call. We're both like, are you getting this? Because I'm getting this. I feel like we're getting it. Olivia, I had to let you know, like, give you your flowers. This is who you are for me. And it's also like who you are in the space that is, one of one, because there are lots of folks having conversations about brand that I'm not sure are really serving us. So I'm excited today to kind of really get into some learning for folks to really, we really do believe as the Osumares that a lot of wisdom is trapped in the brains of really magical people. And it ain't the stuff that we be looking for don't always hit the same. So I'm so excited to have a conversation that, is telling the real about kind of brands and story and breaking some of the like minutia down for us like real humans so we can actually understand one another. Thank you so much for who you be. And thank you for like being a walking teacher. You don't really know. I really do be watching you. I get a master class from the little pieces of content that get posted. I read your emails. Like I'd be like, oh, okay, I get it. So just know, even without you knowing, you are teaching the peoples and we are great.
I love that. I love that. Also, congratulations, Osumares. Like, beautiful name, beautiful people. I'm so grateful for your love. Seriously.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, y'all, before we jump into the interview, let's have some fun and get to know Olivia for real. Like some fun questions that Portia and I come together and ask you. Portia, are you taking these questions? Great.
We'll take these questions. So, Olivia, these are rapid fire questions. Don't think about them too much. They're meant to be first thing that comes to mind. And, we're going to get a little bit in your business, but in a fun way.
I love
it. One,
Let's go.
Opening question, because I know you know. You're walking into Costco. What is the first thing that you're buying non-negotiable?
Oddly, chicken. So like, I'm going to go to the back, get the chicken, then I'm going to go to the front, get the pizza, because I'm probably making like some casserole my sister-in-law taught me about, because she's like, just buy the chicken. I'm like, oh, that's smart. You're so smart. So yeah.
It really is. There'd be full lines in Costco for the chicken.
It's the best grocery store chicken.
It really is. And I kind of love the lore around the chicken where I can't remember the CEO's name. He's like, well, we're not going to raise the price. Like, people are like, well, we're losing money. And it's just like, duh, it's a loss leader. So we're not going to raise the price. When we have the chicken, people walk through the store to get to it. Duh.
Again, come on,
magical
man.
Chicken.
She teaching us through the chicken, y'all. She teaching us through the chicken. You see? You see? Okay, next question. As we come into the conversation, even around Osumares, what's your favorite thing about having an entrepreneur?
Man, he's so creative. Like he teaches me so much about myself and about the things that I don't have. Like we come to it from way different perspectives, right? Like he is hyper creative, but he's extremely like systems oriented and like regimented. Like you wouldn't know that because he's so artsy and like, big frohawk and just like all the fun stuff. But all the fun stuff that comes out on the other side is because of incredible discipline behind the scenes. So just being able to like watch and absorb his discipline, it's just been fantastic, right? Because I'm a lover. I'm big on community. I'm big on just like very qualitative things more than quantitative. But my beautiful autistic husband loves a spreadsheet, and I'm into it.
You love him.
Come through with the spreadsheets and the creativity. Come on.
Hello.
It's so good.
That's a good one. I love that. And I really do love. It's such a beautiful thing when you can be paired with somebody who fills in so much of those pieces. And again, we give thanks for the people who like the spreadsheets because I'm like you. I'm vibes. I'm real good while I'm here. Please don't ask me to plan.
No, after this, like if it's not written, it's not real. Like what are we talking about?
That and that and that. Okay, another quick one. What is your go-to coffee shop order? As a former barista, I learned so much from people of like your go-to. I'm going to a coffee shop. I'm getting coffee or tea or a pastry. But what's your go-to order?
Caramel oat milk latte. Sometimes a pump of hazelnut. Sometimes a caramel drizzle. But it has to be oat milk, right? Because the oat milk is so like warm on the tongue and just like, I don't know, it feels like a hug. The first time I had like an oat milk latte, I was like, this feels like, I don't know, friendship must feel. So yeah, that is my jam. Caramel oat milk latte.
Oh, that's cute. Okay, now we're about to get real East Coast and West Coast. Iced or hot?
Iced all year round. All year round. I don't actually like it hot. Like, I'll drink a hot tea and make that into my latte, but I coffee. I love cold coffee. It's so good. It's like
I
it's like
love
adult
that.
chocolate milk.
Really classy vibe, Miss Olivia. Like that says to me that, you know, she's a classy girl. You know, a nice caramel oat milk latte. It's simple, but it's delicious. It hits every time. I like that there's a variation tonight. That's a good one. That's a really, really good one.
Thank you. Thank you
Okay,
very
in that
much.
same vein, here's a good one. What's one trend that's happening right now that you cannot get with or literally just don't understand?
Oh, most of them, honestly. Yeah, I'm so weird about trends because I'll see them and I'll be like, oh, that's fun. Like I have teenagers and oh, she's 12 and a 12-year-old, right? So like I see so many like changes in the zeitgeist from the kids and it's so much to keep up with, right? And I this is how I realize I'm getting old because they keep bringing me stuff and I'm just like, I don't understand why you would do that. So I can't even answer that fully. It's just all of them. I'm overwhelmed by the new stuff, and I guess that's just getting old. Yay!
Yay! Is that not the reality?
I didn't see it coming, and that's the crazy part about it. Because like you're young, and then you're not one day because the ones who are actually young show up with some new information or something that's just like, oh, I have no, not even just I don't understand this. I don't have a desire to understand this. That one caught me off guard. It's just like, oh, I don't care. Oh, but I'm gonna care because I care about you. But in reality, I don't actually care. Yeah, getting older.
Mm. Seeing you there. When I be seeing people busted out into the dance moves, I'm like, a line dance I can get behind. Every other dance, I'm like, every time, like we're at the grocery store, or like those random people who are like snatching things or doing skits in the aisle at the grocery store. I'm like, you to get smacked. I get it.
People haven't gotten punched. Like back in the day, people would get into fights for the simplest things. I think we don't fight enough anymore.
Now you're speaking my secret language. Mild violence really did cure a lot, or just the fear of mild violence really did keep people in a certain piece of check that we've lost in our younger age.
And it's like, yay, peace in the streets, but still, like, walk your line, all right?
You should know that I'm still finna smack you if you get out of the line. I just need you to understand. My old self, may still finna.
Okay, what is going on? But yeah.
That. Okay, last question. The ultimate Black people line of division: salt and sugar in your grits. Are you a salt person? Are you a sugar person? If you feel willing to tell, I will let you opt out in case it is
No, no,
alienating
no.
you.
It's okay. This is a safe space, right? So I'm very like culturally Jamaican. So as far as like grits and shrimp and things like that happening, I didn't really get into it until I got married. And my husband's family is like Southern and they like cook like really well, which is just amazing. So the way it was introduced to me was like you make your cheese grits and like the salt, but like you put syrup on top of it. And I was like, oh, I love this. It's so good because you have all the different layers of flavors and like it just tastes it's sweet and savory, sweet and savory. So that's my answer. I don't know if it's like a political answer, but like that's my answer.
Not gonna lie, that is me and Parchelle's also answer. Parchelle was the first person who I ever met and said out loud that they put salt and sugar on the grits, because so do I. The sweet and the savory.
Yes, because it's perfect. Like now I'm just always kind of craving. In fact, I'm gonna ask him to make shrimp and grits this weekend because it's so like why would you not want the sweet and savory?
Portia, we should add that to the list this week.
That
would be great.
Got you. And grits are such a nice vehicle for a variety of things, but it is just starch. Almost all starches respond really well to a bit of sweet and savory. So I'm glad we know. This is how you know. This is the room who understands delicious. The rest of y'all, don't cheat yourself. Treat yourself.
Amen.
Put salt and sugar on your grits. Bring families back together.
Bring them together.
You can't afford the music of one revolution. Bring families back together. All right. Thank you so much for letting us play this game with you. I definitely feel like I laughed. I'm like, this is how people we know people for real. We want to know. want to know if you want salt and sugar on your grits and how you like the chicken at Costco. Thank you for allowing us to get to know you as a bit of the human, the woman. I'm stoked to kind of get into your brilliance and your expertise and talk a little bit about the magic of brand and how you do what you do. Parchelle, anything else
Let's
we're popping
get into
into
it
before there? Can I get into asking the questions? Fantastic. All right, y'all. Like I said, Olivia is a brand expert, and particularly like Parchelle said, the story of brand and so much of this brand conversation, I get so we can make brand mean so many things. It can be what you're seeing on the shelf. It can be what you're seeing in the social. It can be kind of, what people say, oh, your inner brand. I remember we were at the retreat this weekend and Kira said, oh, Parchelle, you did such a good job naming Osumare. You branded this outside of business. And I was like, dang, brand go all the way over there. Like, I didn't even really know that. If we had to kind of, from the expert herself, what would you say brand is in your words?
It's meaning making, right? So every word, everything we use in society is a social agreement. So branding is putting down the philosophy that dictates the strategy to get buy-in for the social agreement, that the things that you say actually mean certain things. So it's about reputation, it's about identity, it's about making sure that the heart of the matter is upfront and felt.
Yeah, again, did not understand that at all. The social agreement piece, okay, that now makes sense. It's and so what I also, in layman's, for what I hear you saying, is also that thing that happens when we know someone's walking their talk, at least from the outside. Is that a piece of that?
Yeah, from the outside and from the inside, right? It's the agreement that everything is integrated, right? So integrity is making sure that things are mixed together, they're integrated. So branding is an act of integration over and over again. So that even means like if something goes awry, making sure that you hold to your values and address those things, right? That's usually kind of the brand issue people run into. It's just like, oh, we never expected this from you. And the reality is, from the inside of the company, they probably didn't expect it from themselves either. So now they have to figure out what to do and how to realign with their mission, vision, and values and talk to their audience about what's real and what's not, and then like actually live in repair, right? So it's really about making sure that the thing is the thing, both inside and out.
That makes a lot of sense. And now I can kind of hear why so many of us, either ignorantly not knowing enough to know what that is, to be good stewards of that. And I can also see why, like you said, so many folks may trip up and fall into something that is super damaging because it is so much on the integration level. And it's so interesting from what you said that stands out to me is we build so much trust by what we see, the walk we see people on of ourselves and others. And that can be such an interesting thing to do as like an ever-changing and transforming person. I think that I'm hearing, even in what you're saying, how important it is for us to actually have these kind of conversations, understand these conversations so that we know how then to also apply ourselves when things do change and how to actually be in conversation around it. Oh, that makes a ton of sense. Well, before we get too deep into kind of how, as small business owners, we can play into this, what brought you to brand in the first place? Like, how did this become your conversation?
Yeah, certainly. So I started off in public relations right out of college. I went to college for journalism with an eye toward law. I was like, I'm going to help people to advocate for themselves, and it's going to be great. And then during the time I was studying communications as well, since my major was journalism. The reason my major was journalism was I worked at a law firm in high school, and I realized just all the writing and storytelling that took place just throughout the entire case. Like I was constantly reading documents and they were stories, right? They were painting the picture of who was right, who was wrong, who's at fault, and why you need to give me my money, right? So being able to tell a story is a huge part of being able to be a good lawyer. So I started studying journalism. It's about reporting. And as I was doing that, I got into a public relations class. In the PR class, the person who walked in as a lecturer for us, she was dressed in this like beautiful outfit, and she was just so confident. And she was talking about the ways that our communication aids in people's development of self, right? From a general communication standpoint, we are the messages that we receive. But from the public relations and marketing standpoint, it's what message do you want to project to people to help them to become? And I thought that was just like a different form of advocacy, right? And I think that's amazing because if we are changed at a base level, then even the idea of the needs for advocacy look different. Instead of leaning toward charity, a deed for charity, we can actually lean toward foundations of justice. Communications is justice. So I moved in that direction. And as I was going and working with different businesses, I realized that people, A, didn't really have business models, right? Like you want attention for, you know, your press, your all these different things, but there wasn't really any intention for what to do when it comes down the funnel. Was there a funnel at all? There was not. So I moved toward business modeling, and then in the business modeling I realized we needed to be able to like speak about this in a way that felt good and real for the people who were operating their businesses. So I moved into the branding. Branding got a little deep for me because I started realizing that my relationship with my business was more so about being impressive to other people. I had my son when I was 16. I am the youngest of four kids, and I'm the only girl. My family is like super culturally Jamaican and super culturally Christian. So there's just like a lot of ideas about what should happen in your life. How does that look when you are a pregnant 15-year-old, right? Like it looks kind of crazy. So my life kind of moved in the direction where I wanted to be impressive. I wanted people to see that like I wasn't a statistic. My son's father said that to me one time. He's like, "You're a statistic." And I'm like, "Excuse me." So yeah, a lot of the work that I put into creating a company in the beginning was more so about proving my worth, my value, that like I am a person and it's okay. Later on down the line, after a couple of like mental breakdowns, losing my favorite grandmother and my favorite aunt, um, you know, the people that just like loved me, it occurred to me that I wasn't loving me. So I had to start taking a different view of branding of business, right? Where I started seeing this idea of the mission not as this thing that I'm just saying I do in the world, but like, how does it manifest my calling? How is the thing that I am supposed to do coming out in the business that I'm doing? Like, I like the work, I do, but it just feels so disconnected, and I know there's more. So now that's my thing. I love working with people who have been good. They've been good girls. And they followed all of the scripts that were laid out for them. And they're struggling to create their own scripts. So that's the lore. That's it.
Ooh, and you, again, bars. Hope y'all are taking notes. I'm over here passionately writing things down. There is so much there, right? And how many of us have been there? You know, of like, Parchelle and I have conversations about this all the time. Parchelle, I'd love for you to weigh in even here around like so much of the business is the reality of what you do and then like what you have to make it look like to do the thing. And the disconnect feels so disingenuous to the work sometimes that I love that you spoke into like the place from where this came from. And Parchelle, anything that comes to your mind about kind of how as the business has gone for the past couple of years, where you've been
I mean, to be honest with you, at this point, there's less of a focus on that. Because when I first started my business, similarly, I was wanting to really put up a good, impression. And I went through a lot of links to do that. But what I find too, just in what you're hearing, what I heard you say about the integrity, like the brand that you put out is the brand that is actually internal and what's happening in your life. That coming together of being integral has showed up for me in really seeing the opportunities that I have to work with people to be less transactional. Because when things are surfacey anyway, and it's about perception, so are the transactions, so are the doings, and it becomes so impersonal, I feel. And to Portia's point, it's like you're the passion that you would show up to a project with you don't really have. And I've often heard too as well, when you put so much emphasis on how you're perceived, right, and you make this image, you now have to sustain that. And it's unsustainable, and it is difficult to keep up with an image that is not yours. Like it's just more weight and a lot more energy going towards that. I definitely feel like there's such like power in being more in integrity with who you really are and how you show up in your business.
Yeah, yeah. It's so, I think one of the things we don't talk about nearly enough, or we don't even make room for, is the idea of repulsion. So, one of the strengths of branding is obviously attraction, right? If we put out things that are not so much about perspective, but about presence, like we are actually putting our own presence into the world, some people are going to be attracted and they're going to be like, oh, I want to work with you. This is going to be amazing. You know, all those different kinds of things because they feel the energy of the calling. They feel the reality of the integration, right? But repulsion is also a part of branding as well because everybody's not your client. And if everybody is your client, you don't really have a way to focus and position and like take aim appropriately to the people that you are assigned to help, right? Like you can't help everybody and you shouldn't want to help everybody because there's literally only 24 hours in the day and God willing, you're sleeping 8 of them. Like it's not your job, it's not your business. So being able to position yourself appropriately attracts, it repels, and it's self-care. Like one of the big things for me in branding is that the more we can appropriately speak about ourselves, the more we get to discover ourselves and put that out into the world, it is care for ourselves. That's going to make the interactions, like you said, transformative versus transactional. Like I can take money and I can write a thing. Like that's fine. But what does that do for my soul? Right? And what does that do for the future of our economies, right? I want to see more for all of us. And the ways we get to do that is through, you know, the honesty and integrity of knowing ourselves and knowing how our job feeds each other.
The Osumaré Learning Podcast is brought to you by 2 sponsors that are near and dear to our hearts. Because we built them. First up, Business Cousins. Business Cousins is a collective of called to serve leaders who are building businesses that create impact that actually matters. We're about doing real good in the world, giving people the results they paid for, and having a damn good time doing it. If you're into running a business that you actually love, hanging out with smart and soulful folks while you do it, and being supported every step of the way, this may be the room for you. We host gatherings, workshops, and offer ongoing business development support that's as human as it is helpful. If you're interested, apply today at thebusinesscousin.com. Check us out at www.thebusinesscousin.com. And then there's the Author's Leverage. That's our studio for turning your body of work into powerful learning tools. Whether it's digital workbooks, private podcasts, or binge-worthy education content that helps you scale your impact without burning out, we specialize in transforming complex ideas into accessible, engaging learning experiences that your audience will actually use and implement. Our team of expert creators, instructional designers, and production specialists ensure that your wisdom reaches more people in the ways that truly resonate. If you're an expert, author, or thought leader sitting on brilliance, let us help you package it. Learn more at theauthorsleverage.com. That is theauthorsleverage.com.
Okay. Now, Olivia, can you speak in my language? Because I there's such a conversation to me also in your external representation, whatever that looks like. It's also a calling card for your people. It's a calling card for your co-conspirators. It's a calling card for your collaborators. It's a calling card for the people. These movements that we're committed to are huge. And oftentimes, you know, we've gotten this like weird concept that it's supposed to just be us doing all of it. And the truth is there's no way that we could. Most companies, organizations, businesses do not work that way. They're collectives of humans that have been brought together to be able to do things together. But you're right. If your external presentation is that not actually talking to the people to whom you want to be in collaboration with, that you want to work with, that you want to play with, that you want to actually be in a space, rather than just the people that you want to sell, we've missed the mark there.
Yeah.
And that's such a nugget there. And it's interesting, bring me to my next question. I have found with brands specifically that it tends to be an interesting Achilles heel for people with small and medium-sized businesses, because what we know of brand is the bread on the shelf, right? And the thought process is be as shiny as humanly possible, because we're modeling ourselves after these massive brands that don't actually, to me, really speak to the heart. And like you're talking about the depth, the nature of really telling your story and being of who you are. When it comes to small and medium-sized businesses, what are we not really getting about how we should be thinking about our brand conversation?
That is an awesome question. I think we are not getting that we are still in process, right? I think a lot of the time we look at what has been established and we see like the places they are, the resources that they have to put into things, and just like everything that they have. But when you are a small or a medium business or like someone who's solo dolo, it's not just about what you have, it's like who you are, right? We as humans we are social creatures. We want to love each other. We want to know each other. We want to see how we can be what I like to call co-proprietors, right? We're all creating our lives together. So the question is, as a small or medium business, how are you helping someone to create the life that they want? So a lot of the time we think about the idea of communicating like pain points, pain. We want people to see what's wrong. But what we should really be thinking of is helping them to see what they can become, right? So if we're doing more aspiration marketing, if you do this, you can be this greatest vision that you've always wanted to be, that looks different, right? And that creates a different kind of loyalty because they recognize that you're on the journey with them, as opposed to just giving them like a singular tool or just a thing here or there, right? We really have to change our like internal positioning about what selling actually looks like. If selling is just selling, then that's a one-off. We exchange goods for money and that's really it. But selling is about connection, it's about belief, and it's about growth, right? So if we think about the ways that, again, going back to this idea of our calling, going back to this idea of our mission, if we think about the ways that those things are coming through the work that we're doing, then that work becomes a manifestation of something bigger and more important than just saying like, I have these widgets for you and these are going to take care of this one immediate problem. No, I have this life-changing thing that's going to make you more the person that you want to be. Here are additional partners that I might have that can help you to continue to become more of who you want to be. We don't buy iPhones because we want the phone. We buy iPhones because we want to think differently, right? Like it's really about creating a culture and really impacting the ways that people see themselves operating in the world. Again, co-proprietorship. We're creating life together.
Ooh, and you just said such a word in so many ways. But one of the things that was so loud to me about what you said also is that dissonance between a lot of us as small business owners, excuse me, see ourselves as vendors first, right? We maybe started from a place of done with you or done for you. And we may know after years of probably doing it, the kind of life that we would provide for our clients after they have done the work. But so many of us are such practitioners and so focused on the work. That's why y'all need to be calling Olivia. Hello. But because look, you can't do everything. You can't be good at everything. And oftentimes, capturing the story around what it is that you do may not be the skill set that is as same as doing what you do. Being able to talk about it versus being able to do it, two very, very different things. And I think that transition space between I do the thing really, really well, and now I'm wanting to do it at scale enough. So I'm wanting to have more conversations about it. And the identity shift required to kind of step into that piece, I think is an interesting lever that most of us have to kind of make in our business journey. I know, Parchelle, that's definitely a huge leap that you and I talked about a ton when we very first started working in and on your business. Anything that you want to kind of speak into about what that shift has looked like for you and maybe where you're even looking at so the folks can kind of see, what it looks like to even be considering how you make messaging and branding around that transition space from vendor to, like here's a different life you can live after having received.
Your point around connection is so powerful in that because there's a connection that's felt between, yes, as a vendor, but transitioning into a more of a space where you are leading a project or you're leading something that's important to you. Like there's just more alignment around the values, right? And the coming together around two people, right? Where two or three or more are gathered. Let me not go to church, but yeah, you'll feel what I'm saying. Like when you bring people around and there's a common ground, there's alignment and there's like all the things, like my purpose in the world is to do this. My purpose in the world is to do this. And those two coming together from the start for me has made such a much more powerful outcome for the folks that I get to work with. But even for myself, there's so much more alignment and peace, if you will, to even consider like, wow, I can actually enjoy not only what I'm doing, but I enjoy the people that I'm doing it with. And there's an alignment there, around that connection. It doesn't have to be like that we sold someone into something and, something that feels surfacey. It really is about connection. So for myself, it's transitioning from a quote unquote vendor to being more aligned. For me, it's showing up in my questions and the questions that I'm asking people. Like, I'm not just focusing, like you said, what's your pain point? What are your challenges? That I'm like, so what are you up to in the world? Like, what's important to you? What are your values? Like, one of my favorite questions that Portia presents is, what is the community that you are committed to? That's just such a different question to ask versus what are y'all doing this year? It's about going deeper, you know what I mean? And really connecting on a personal level for me. So that in and of itself has really helped me to see more possibility for myself. And other thing that I'll say is going from like being a vendor, because I've done a lot of creative work in the video space. So it's easy just to show up and do your thing and go. What's been super powerful is, answering that question of the community that I'm committed to. But even in that too, not to say titles mean a whole lot, but to me in my space, it kind of does. So to even be seen as an executive producer, for me, it is the opportunity to put on this approach of, I want to find a line project that I want to support and see out in the world. Very different conversation, right? And then going to find the resources to make that happen.
Yeah, I love it. I love the conversation of questions. Questions, I think, are probably like an underutilized tool for like all of life. One of the things I always ask my clients is like, well, what is your question about your industry? Like, what is your question about just like life in general, right? Because I think the questions that we have are very much aligned with the thing that we're supposed to create in life. Like, I think each of us kind of has a walking question that we're always trying to answer, right? So for me, it's like, well, how do we build lives and legacies without shame and without people feeling alone? Right. That's always the question I'm like asking myself when I'm trying to build programming or build like products or just talking to a client day by day. Right. Like that's my daily question that I'm kind of asking myself. Right. Other than that, there's like, how do I make a Black woman money today? Like,
hello,
every day, always the question, because those questions do shape the titling. Like you mentioned titling and then the importance of titling, because titling creates categories and categories creates mental organization. And you want people to be able to say clearly like, oh, this is what this means and this is what I'm going to get out of this, right? So one of the big things in branding, if you're, kind of willing to do this work, is to figure out A, what is your walking question, but B, what is your category, right? So when you categorize something, there's a lot of categories that are already created out in the world, which is super awesome. But if there's something that you do that's a little bit off from your industry, maybe there's a new category that you can put into place and evangelize, right? And you go out into the world and say like, hey, this is the problem, this is the question, but this is the answer. Hey, it's me, right? So being able to do that also puts you at a different footing, a different level of value to work with people who understand you and also charge appropriately, right? Because the more we can like charge properly, the more we know if we are like a business of scale or a business of luxury, we can like figure out how to determine the appropriate offering and what kind of energy and investment we need to put into things to make them successful and fulfilling and growing. Questions and categories, like those are two things. Like I love that you said like, if I'm doing this thing, I'm the EP. It matters so deeply. Like you're in a position of power because you get to shape what's actually happening in the production because that's where you stand, right? So the question is always like, well, where do I stand and how do I create transformation within these areas? So questions and categories.
Ooh, I hope y'all are writing this down because the brilliance, y'all. And some is this gonna go over some of y'all head, but some of y'all really need to tap in and hear what it is that Olivia just said here, because it also puts you're really, what I hear you saying also is answering the question behind how do I show up my authentic self? right? And well, is my authenticity going to be accepted in the market? Air quotes, air
Yeah.
quotes, air quotes, right? Being able to stand in what differentiates you and being able to talk about it, own it, speak about it, evangelize it in and of itself adds to a different level of value, which is where I know quite a few of you all are messing up that conversation around value and worth, right? Your worth is priceless. Your value in a market oftentimes is dictated by your ability to differentiate yourself in that market. And if you understand what that languaging looks like, what it looks like from a perception perspective, like Olivia said, questions and categories, people, this is the access that I think quite a few of us are wanting in a marketing plan that feels a bit more aligned to us. Delicious. In that same lane, kind of, Olivia, as we're looking out as kind of the questions piece here and looking out into the future, branding is shifting also in like what we have access to, right? It's social. Back in the day, it was a billboard and the radio and a bunch of money to get you on the billboard and the radio and word of mouth. Now we're seeing social being in the space. We're seeing live selling starting in the space. We're seeing so many different platforms, the Telegrams, the Discords, and also people being like, I'm so tired of the internet. I'm doing so many things offline. So in me and my clients, I'm seeing more word of mouth than ever. It feels like it's having a new resurgence. So like in that conversation of medium, what is a question maybe that you're sitting with about the future of branding that you can leave us with, or we can talk about a bit, particularly for this audience of human that you're so delicious at, which are, women and Black women and folks who are, out here doing transformational work, out here attempting to change their little pocket of the world the best way that they can, but they may not be a huge company quite yet.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So, I mean, I think we have to remember and we have to ask ourselves this, right? So the medium is the message. The medium is the message. Whatever platform you decide to use, it does say something about you. And it also says something about who you're targeting, what you're really trying to say, how you're good at actually communicating those things, right? So I'm not necessarily amazing at video, so why would I go on YouTube? Like in this iteration of my my journey, right? Like eventually I can hire someone to do that. But if I know that there's something that I am good at and it can align with the audience that like knows and likes and can trust me, like I have to lean into that, right? So we really have to figure out where our audience is hanging out, who they're influenced by, and what things actually matter to them and what things they actually like really hate too. And then determine which medium will appropriately convey that message for our audience. We were talking about like trends earlier, and trends are constantly going to come and go. And there's always the question in the marketing meeting, like, well, they're doing this on TikTok and this is the dance right now. Should we do that? And the question is, like, does this align with our values? Like, does this align with our company's personality? Does this align with what our audience is needing or expecting from us? And a lot of the time, the answer is no. And you have to kind of like stay on your merry way in the things that you would do. Because if you're constantly changing your ways of delivery, it makes you like a wishy-washy person and it makes you a wishy-washy brand. People want to know that they can rely on you to deliver in the ways that you would deliver. Like we were just talking about value. Your value is in your values. So the more that you actually like maintain the integrity, there's that word again, of operating within your values and the things that are real to you, the more trustworthy you are, the more people can spend money with you and know that they're going to get what it is that they're putting in. So the question in the realm of like what to do in social media, another thing about social media is it's a footprint, not a step, right? So
clarify that for the people, Olivia. Clarify that for the people, because I promise you, every time someone sits in front of me, I'm like, baby, I promise you, you don't have to be an influencer to sell your business. I promise you, you don't need to be a social media influencer if that's not your calling.
Right. And there's a difference between being a content creator and creating content for your business, right? And I think people are kind of conflating the two, where it's like, oh, I have to be a content creator. Well, no, like It's a footprint because it's supposed to talk about what you do in your business, what you've done in your business, who you are in your business, right? All those different kinds of things. I call it like the ABC storyboard. A is like your top line. This is the business that you're actually trying to convey, your value proposition. B is like your testimonials and partnerships, your people stuff. And C is like you personally as the founder, as a human, what are your hobbies, all of those different kinds of things. But all of those things exist off of social media. They don't exist for social media. Like this is your platform on which you can report. It is not the thing you're living for. So we have to be mindful that we're actually like living real lives and making real connections and having real relationships so that we can report on those things on social media.
Ooh, a word was said. A word was said. Again, this is why we be here. And this is again why I want y'all to learn from Olivia, because we love a multifaceted human. I can tell from your wisdom comes from having walked a variety of different walks and seeing the back end of what actually builds a business ecosystem. I have been saying forever and having this conversation with so many folks around contrived urgency and contrived interest. Like you could just do dope shit and then have the social media reflect it. Social media doesn't need to be like where you do the dope shit only. Like let it be a reflection of the amazing life that you have and the miracles that you're creating in the world, because people are creating miracles literally every day. Yet you're going on social to do a TikTok dance. Girl, just tell us about the miracle. Tell us about the miracle.
Tell us about the miracle.
Please.
That part, all the way.
That and that. Oh, I love this. Okay, as we are rounding kind of down in this conversation, so we leave the people with a little nugget of wisdom. I'm interested in kind of a couple more quick places, but one, if there was like one thing that you wish that people knew about branding, for folks again who are in that space, if there was one thing that you were like, y'all, they think it's this, but it's this, what would that thing be?
Oh my gosh. They think it is marketing, but it is really developing a personality to market. Some of us are walking around reactive and not strategic, just trying to be seen, just trying to be outside and having people engage us. And like, we can't do that. So many of us are chasing validation of attention from other people, as opposed to trying to figure out what it looks like to build our movement, right? To build the thing that's going to actually change lives and do great things and give you like real fulfillment. Like it's about fulfillment, not about validation.
I hope y'all heard that. A couple actions to take. Build your movement. Don't chase validation. I heard us say that. The other one you said, I do need to hear it air again around, what was the very first piece that you just said?
Running around looking for people to like and follow and do all the social media stuff. Like just showing up without like any actual strategy, without any purpose, just to have people around.
That, be strategic versus being reactive. Yeah. That, if there, again, I hope if there's one thing you heard from this podcast, that's the thing that you heard, because that really is how we are building these movements. Olivia, this has been, again, such a masterclass here, such a masterclass. I know our last little segment here that we wanted to kind of pop into, we've been calling truth or transform, as we kind of come into the last things that we want people to be thinking about around this branding conversation. Let's debunk a couple of myths before we pop out of here.
Yeah, I'll do this.
Parchelle, you popping into these or am I popping?
Everybody, this is where we get real about what's working and what's not working in our world. So in this segment, I'm going to present some common beliefs around branding. And Olivia, I want you to be brutally honest. Tell us, is this a truth we should embrace or does it need to be transformed? All right, you ready? All right. First one, building a brand is just about being authentic and sharing your story.
True. That is very true. And I will add to that we are also trying to develop ourselves in the process. So the story that we have right now, or the story that we're telling ourselves right now, might not actually be the most impactful or real story. But the more we are able to take care of ourselves and dig into our own inspiration and not just motivation, like the stories become more robust and we get to elevate along with the business. So tell your story today, tell your story tomorrow, and watch it continue.
All right, next statement. You need to be active on social media every day to maintain your brand.
transform. You need to be active where your relationships actually matter. So for some people, it's emailing. I am huge on like email, right? Social media is a beautiful tool, but it's not actually like a destination. So we often get caught up in like feeding the beast, but the algorithm, it wants more, 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 but then also it wants you to pay it so that you can get in front of the audience that you have like accrued over whatever time. But your conversions are not as likely to happen on social media. They'll happen through relationship, through communication, whether that's like in the emails. And I mean that from like marketing emails, but also like connecting with people, text messages, that old saying that the deals are made on the golf course. Like you have to ask yourself, what is your golf?
We'll do a couple more. That was so good. That was so good. Let's see. Let's try this one. See, brand strategy is only necessary once you reach 6 figures in revenue.
No. There's different levels, transform. There's different levels to it, right? So in the beginning, it's really understanding your story and how to grow and take care of yourself in like what you're putting out in the world. Then you get into audience and market research and figuring out how those two things align for like even better storytelling. And then you get into further business and structural development, right? So how your brand plays into your systems, how it plays into building out more offerings for your business, how you're talking about certain offers that you have. So there's levels to it. Like you can start branding as soon as you like open your door, but you have to understand that it's an iterative process. Like you don't just brand, boom, you're done. The thing that's likely not going to change is your mission. Like your mission, if it is informed by your inspiration, you as a person, your calling, then that's not going to change. Your vision might change, your customer journeys might change, the way you tell your story, like all of these different externals, they might change. And that's perfect.
I love that. All right, last one, and then we'll wrap it down. Your brand voice should always be professional.
No, ew. huge transform. Huge transform. We have to call into question what professional means, right? So the culture of business is deeply colonized, but it also is like deeply hustle and like drug culture driven, right? So a lot of what we are talking about as professional is more so being a pusher of a product. And it doesn't apply to everything. Like if we're talking about like, whole heart founder branded things where we're thinking about the ways that we impact each other with communication, like it might not sound the way that someone else would deem professional. And we're allowed to call that into question. We're allowed to figure out who our audience is and what they actually need and care about, and speak to them in a way that they are going to understand. If I'm coming to you with industry jargon, but you just want to know how this is going to solve your problems, I'm losing. Why would I set myself up to lose? I'm not going to colonize myself just for kicks and gigs. No. Professional does not have to be the standard.
I know.
Somebody needed to hear that today. You just alleviated somebody's LinkedIn pain point today. Somebody is looking at their LinkedIn today like liberation. Praise the Lord.
That's all we're here for. Get free, sis. I don't know, this idea of good. Like what is good? You want to do well. That's what you want. You want to do well. If you're thinking about good, you're moving with too many subjectivities. It's too much. It's too much.
Yes.
Is that the last one? Well, let me tell you. Thank you, Olivia. Y'all, again, I'm like, Olivia, where are you going today? I'm trying to steal 10 to 20 more minutes because there's so much that could be here. We hope Olivia will come back and be with us to deepen more of these conversations. There was a nugget for every single one of you all to be listening for. Be in a relationship with your brand, y'all. And get connected to Olivia Denton Thomas as an expert in this space. Like I said earlier, this may not be your specialty. This is why there are many roles in the revolution. Align with your co-conspirators. Olivia Denton Thomas may be one of said co-conspirators. Olivia, where can we find you so we can patronize your things and get your wisdom?
Oh my goodness. So I am at wintentional.com. I am very active on LinkedIn. You can find me at The Brand Counselor pretty much anywhere. That is who I be. So thank you. Let's be besties in real life.
And y'all, look, as somebody who has Olivia's actual phone number, it's a good vibe over here. I'm just saying. You want to be friends with her. She says brilliant, natural things just randomly all the time. I'm inspired on the regular. I hope you all are as well. I hope you enjoyed the Osumaré Learning Podcast today. Thank you, Parchelle. Thank you, Olivia. My name is Portia Michele Osumare. Grateful to be with you all. We'll see you next time.
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen and consider what was shared today. Thanks to our guests for sharing. Thank you to Parchelle for holding us in this container. And thank you for listening. We hope that something that was shared today sparks a new idea, inspires a new action, or creates something that you're excited to share with your community.
And thanks to Portia for leading this wonderful conversation and for bringing the vibe. Make sure to subscribe, share it with a friend, and hit us up on LinkedIn or Instagram. We want to hear what this sparks for you. So do us a favor, drop a review or leave a comment with what you thought.
All right, friends. We will see you next time on the Osumaré Learning Podcast. I'm already looking forward to it.
Me too.